Salute to all the Patreon members. Want to thank you guys for your support. It really means a lot to me. All the new viewers, all the subscribers. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I don't have the link for the Patreon in the description box below right now, but I do have a link to the article in the description box below. So check that out. All right. I'm away on business. I'm on the road. I don't have my computer on my laptop with me, so I don't have anything to show for you guys on the screen, but you can follow along by clicking the link in the show notes below for the article. We can go through it together. You can see the pictures besides the thumbnail. All right. So this is brought to you by Tiger.com. For those that don't know, I've either lived or traveled abroad for the last 16, going on 17 years. I used to live in Thailand for 5 years. All right. So I like to, every once in a while, pull articles from different news publications and sources from Thailand and talk about them, break them down, because, you know, I used to live out there. I know a lot of you guys are traveling, and, you know, I like to give information and insight on what it's like to live in Thailand, or things to point out, things to pay attention to before you travel over there. So anyways, 4-man fined for strolling naked while visiting Thai wife in Kampang Pet. I don't know exactly where that's at. Well, they say it's in the northern province, so probably that's close to Laos. That's closer to the Laos border, probably. So let me read this, and then I'm going to break it down to you. Yesterday, a foreign man captured the attention of locals after strolling naked through a local market in a convenience store in the northern province of Kampang Pet. Residents buying groceries at Klong Klan Market recorded the man calmly walking around without clothes. In the clip shared on social media, bystanders stare in disbelief as the man casually makes a payment at the counter before riding away on his motorcycle, covering his private organ with one hand. Channel 7 reported that some locals feared the situation could escalate into something dangerous, prompting them to file a complaint with police. Officers from the Kampang Pet Provincial Tourist Police and the Immigration Bureau later traced the man to the home he shares with his Thai wife. They found him sitting outside wearing only shorts and appearing intoxicated. He admitted he exposed himself while drunk and stressed about personal problems. His wife told officers she tried to stop him from leaving the house naked, but he insisted he was going to the market to buy cannabis without clothes. She said he drank a case of beer and used ganja before heading out. Then in the article, there's a picture of him, looks like at a 7-Eleven, and he's naked at the counter purchasing items. And they let him buy this shit, and then he got back on his bike and went back home. The woman revealed that she and her husband had been in a relationship for about 3 years and have a daughter together. This was the third time he had visited her in Thailand, and he arrived unannounced by coach bus, walking about 5 kilometers from the terminal to their home. She said he had been stressed and depressed recently and planned to return to his home country for treatment soon. She added she was worried about their future together as his family disapproved of her. She said she would talk to him when he sobers up and accept whatever the outcome may be. Police escorted the man to the station and fined him under Section 388 of the criminal law for public indecency. While the exact amount was not disclosed, the fine is believed to be less than 5,000 baht under the law. So that's like $140, $150. Okay. So I want to point out a few things in this article. I hope you guys are following along. Salute to Scant Dollar. Please click the link in the description box below. I left the link for you guys to follow along. You can see the pictures. All right. So number one, they never said who this guy was. They didn't say his name. They didn't say his nationality. They didn't say how old he was. And they didn't take a picture with him apprehended at the police department like they normally do. All right. And they only fined him for public indecency. When they said, okay, he's drunk, they could have checked his blood alcohol level. The wife admitted that he drank a case of beer and smoked weed before he headed out. They could have tested his blood alcohol level and charged him for that. Public intoxication. This was linked to alcohol. You're putting other people's lives on the road in danger, right? And who knows how well you were driving on that scooter, because under the influence, you could have drove recklessly and got into an accident, right? Drove in front of a oncoming traffic, got into an accident. You could have got badly injured, and that would have weighed on, a driver's heart, their mind. It's kind of like, damn, he drove out in front of me, drunk and intoxicated, but it's like I hit somebody and I hurt them pretty badly, and they might, that could weigh on somebody's conscience if you put them in a position like that, you being drunk, right? They didn't say where he was, nothing. And let me tell you, had that been you, a Black American, African, or Caribbean, the first thing would have said Nigerian, Jamaican, Black American, name this, age this, outside walking around naked, under the influence, intoxicated. They would have arrested you, had you put on clothes, made you take a picture. They would have deported you, and they would have banned you for about a year if you'd have done that. All right? They didn't do that to him. So I want you to look at the different articles. If you plan on traveling to Thailand, or if you live in Thailand, or you're thinking about moving to Thailand, read a lot of these different articles. You're going to see how they treat a lot of different people. They didn't even say where he was from. Then on top of that, he went over to the convenience store. I don't know if it was Hi-Mart, 7-Eleven, what's that other one? Family Mart. It looked like it might have been a 7-Eleven. He walks around in that 7-Eleven, butt-ass naked, searching for things that he needed or that he wanted, was able to purchase the items, take it up to the front, and pay for those items. When they should have said, nah, I'm not servicing you or allowing you to purchase anything until you put on some clothes, right? Nobody said, hey, man, that's very disrespectful. There's women here. The men working, because usually at 7-Eleven, there's really no men that work there. Usually the men that work there, they're how can I, and I don't have anything against anybody who has a sexual preference. Usually they're like young guys who like other guys. Right. When I was in Thailand, I didn't see any men working, masculine heterosexual men working at 7-Eleven. They're usually young males who like other men and women that work there. But still, somebody could have said, regardless of what your preference is, somebody could have said, hey, we're not servicing you, get the fuck out, or unless they were scared and they just wanted him to go. Right? But they allowed her to make a purchase. Out here, whether you go to, actually in Middle America, right? Middle America, hillbilly land. You go into certain convenience stores, on the door, there's signs that say, hey, If you don't have a shirt, you're not getting no service. If you don't have socks and shoes on, you're not getting no service. They got to make signs for people like that in their area. Right? Now, not every day somebody comes into a store butt-ass naked trying to purchase items. So it wouldn't be necessary for them to put a sign on the door for that. Right? First time, maybe scared, nervous. Just like, hey, let's just, make him pay so he can get up out of here and then call the police. Right? But you should have said, hey, man, no. Go back, put on some clothes. Then you can come back and buy whatever it is you want. What's the matter with you? Right? They go over to the house. He's outside. Now he got on pants. He got on shorts. They talk to him. They only fine him 5,000 baht. Now, you expose yourself to men, women, kids, right? You should be arrested. That's the thing. Like, to a certain degree, I kind of understand where locals come from. But, man, I've walked around on Sukhumvit Road in Bangkok. That's the main strip in Bangkok. And it were like naked Thai men on the street. They were high, right? Homeless, high. Not a whole bunch of men at once, but I've seen, every once in a while, there'll be a guy out there high out of his mind, naked. And people just kind of like, hey, man, whatever, just call the cops. They'll come through. They'll deal with them. And then they get them off the road. So I've seen Thai men do that. Homeless men do that. You're not homeless. You're a foreigner, right? And anything that foreigners do, any crimes that foreigners commit, the word in the news gets spread around, and the first thing people say is like, hey, man, I'm so sick and tired of these foreigners. I want them gone, yada, yada, yada. I've seen them do the same thing. I've seen it happen amongst the locals as well. All right? So I'm not saying that, hey, man, just because you do it, it's okay for others to do it. I'm just saying, there's really no outrage on a lot of the crimes. Excuse me. There's really no outrage for a lot of the crimes that they commit that are in the news. They're pretty hush-hush and quiet. But when a foreigner does it, it's outrage. Like, remember a few weeks ago, I did a live talking about that video that I forgot what country they were from. Them foreigners that was one foreigner driving a truck. There was another foreigner in the back of the pickup truck in the truck bed, and he was like, hitting it from the back on a Thai woman doggy style while they was driving around town, recording and making content. Right? And there was outrage behind that. But nobody said anything about the girl who allowed this. You see what I'm saying? They want to blame the foreigners, but the Thai woman gave them consent to make that. But what they say in return is like you're taking advantage of people who make less money, who are less fortunate. Well, who doesn't make as much money as you do? You dangle a couple $100 in front of them, knowing that, hey, that's all they make in a month. You just gave her 2 months worth of pay. Of course she's going to say yes. That's how they feel. That's kind of how they look at it. But you gave them consent. You could have gave them a different idea, like, hey, I'll get sexually involved, but I won't do that. Right? You probably still could have gotten paid. But nobody blames Thai accomplices in this. Just like here, the public might be outraged, this news was popular enough to make it to, a news source, right? And they're upset at him, they're upset at foreigners. But has anybody saying anything about the wife? Did the wife call the police? No. The article didn't say the wife called the police. They just tracked him down, found out where he lived, went over there, and they only fined him 5,000 baht. That's nothing. Another interesting thing is either they've been together or they've been married for 3 years. They have a daughter. He's stressed out about his situation. I think he says he has to go back home. So he sounds like a bum because the pictures, I'm assuming this is a white guy, right? Excuse me, I'm assuming this man's Caucasian. I don't know what you could be stressed out about, right? They didn't reveal what it was. I don't know if it's financial situation, health problems, right? The wife tells the police that he's going through situations and, it's kind of tough being with him because his family doesn't approve of me. Which let me know, okay, yeah, he's probably a Caucasian male from Europe. A lot of these women go through that, right? I met half Thai, half Caucasian women in Thailand who they had the choice and the option of going back to Europe and living there, but they didn't want to because, like, hey, and most of the time, the white parents are father. It's like, hey, my father's family don't approve of me, didn't even approve of my mother, so I'm gonna just stay here. I'm gonna just stay here in Thailand because, the girls they get kind of special privileges and attention for being mixed. All right. They don't get accepted 100% to assimilate in a Thai society. But especially if they go to international schools, they get a lot more attention than most other people. Because you're not at an international school. You might not get attention from Thais, but you'll get attention from Vietnamese, Chinese, Japanese, right? Burmese, like they get a lot of attention from other students. But other than that, I've heard this a lot. Where the man will marry a Thai woman, have kids, but the family doesn't support it at all. Right? So he can't take her back to his home country. She's using police as therapy, as a therapist, which I don't know what that has to do with y'all's situation, or the situation of him walking around and driving around town naked. What does that have to, what is you telling me that, he got drunk, high, and riding around naked? What does his family not approving you have to do with him riding around naked? Nothing. I just want to know, why did you do that? You the wife? Why did he do that? What happened? He drank a case of beer. I don't know. Beers maybe. I'll drink a beer. I'm not a beer drinker. I barely even drink. When I do, I definitely don't drink beer. Beers never made me do all that. Beer is kind of like, you get a little buzz, and after that, for me, it's like I don't keep, the more beer that I would drink, because I mean, there've been times when, years ago, when I just sat there and I just kept cracking open cans. But the buzz isn't increasing. I'm just pissing the rest of it out. I have a a little buzz and I'm pissing the rest of it out. It's never put me in a situation where I got to go outside naked. So these are the things I'm pointing out in the article. Clearly, it's a white dude. They didn't reveal his identity, nationality, age. They didn't arrest him. They just fined him 5,000 baht. Might have been a lot to him. Who knows? His situation. Why didn't you move your family up out of that northern province? He's not there illegally, right? The article didn't say he's there illegally. So why haven't you moved? You got a family. You could have moved your family from the northern region down to the city, find yourself some work, and take care of your family. Or maybe he's working in the northern province. And that's another thing too. You know, a lot of, you know, Caucasian males, and some Caucasian women, but a lot of Caucasian males, they love living out in the middle of nowhere. Well, I don't have any neighbors. These are the main ones that get set up by their wives. You know, and then you call a cop and it takes 30 minutes for them to show up to your home because you live so far out. I don't want to be in the city. I hate the city. I want to live in the middle of nowhere. You're vulnerable in the middle of nowhere. So, anyways, he says he has to go back home. The article says he has to go back home. I don't know why. What the hell does that have to do with you riding around naked? Right? So I guess whoever wrote this article, they didn't want to keep it short. They didn't want to keep it brief. You know, they wanted to pause a meaty article, you know, a lengthy article enough for it to be a respectable amount of words. You know, interesting story. Let me write enough words in this article. But a lot of this shit, who cares? I know if I was a cop, oh, you know, his family doesn't like me. He's thinking about moving back. And I don't care. I don't care. Why were you riding around naked? Save all this stressful. All right, you were stressed out. Cool, whatever. You going to jail. No, they just made him pay a fine. And to a certain degree, I understand where locals are coming from because they feel like, hey, the laws are very soft on these people. And I get it. Because for brothers, if you'd have done that, they would have banned you. You would have gotten arrested and they would have banned you for at least a year for doing that. But they were soft on him, only a fine. There's really no incentive for him to stop. Anyways, that's it for this live. There's another article I want to talk about. I might do it. I'm not sure. But it's about a dude in Phuket who got knocked out. Looked like a brother that got knocked out. And I don't feel sorry for him. It's a little dude. I don't know if I want to do that live or not. But y'all stay tuned. All right? Peace.